everyone, what's going on? If you followed my channel, I've recently made a video and I talked about the TV show on Netflix called Tiger King. And in this video, I talked about how there was a tiger theme and it was connected to Tiger Woods and connected to coronavirus. And the very next day after making this video, a major mainstream media article was that this tiger at the Bronx Zoo got coronavirus. And then the next day after that, we got the death of a famous Detroit Tiger player named Al Kaline, or Kaline, however you say his name, and he was known as Mr. Tiger even, right? So we got this. I'm talking about how it's synced up to coronavirus. We get a tiger with coronavirus, then we get a Detroit Tiger player die. Then the next day, I think it was, we got a story about Tiger Woods and how he was doing everything quarantine style. And they highlighted quarantine style. And in this practice of coding numbers into words and phrases, an esoteric knowledge practice that I talk about all of the time on this channel, it's called gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. If you write out quarantine style, it equals 201. And if you write the word tiger in Jewish gematria, it equals 201. And this is really important to coronavirus because earlier this year, on October 18th, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation hosted an event called Event 201. And at that event, they simulated a coronavirus outbreak that would kill 65 million people. And it just so happened to come, that event was 56 days before the original date of patient 0 of coronavirus. And in these base ciphers here, if you write out coronavirus, it just so happens to equal 56, just like toilet paper and so on, 56. That's why the WHO said to get ready for a pandemic on the 56th day of the year. And the word pandemic equals 65, the reflection of 56. That's why Donald Trump declared coronavirus a national emergency on 3/13, which is the 65th prime number, 313. And if you go from the date of event 201 and you go 201 days later, it takes you to the date of May 6th. 5/6, or also in other countries, they write it as 6/5. And another thing that I pointed out was that we have this International Tiger Day that falls on July 29th this year, which is also the anniversary of NASA. Let's look at NASA really quick. So International Tiger Day falls on the anniversary of NASA, and in the Jewish cipher again, so the word tiger equals 201, notice that the word Apollo equals 201. And this year is really important to the moon landing. It's the 51st anniversary of the moon landing. The word moon equals 51. The word conspiracy equals 51. 9/11 equals 51. Area 51. Tinfoil hat equals 51, and so on. And I'm just pointing out, the word Apollo 201 this year is important to the moon. The moon landing happened on the date of 7/20, which in a non-leap year is the 201st day of the year. The first guy to walk on the moon was Neil Alden Armstrong, whose name also equals 201. And the second guy to walk on the moon that was with Buzz Aldrin, or with Neil Armstrong, was Buzz Aldrin, and his birthday is January 20th, which can be written as 20/1. So this number 201, really important. And let me write out quarantine style, so I can show you what I'm talking about with Tiger Woods here. Quarantine style. 201. So I knew there's some type of, major tiger theme that is going on. And what else is interesting too about this date of July 29th, this year just so happens to be the date that Tisha B'Av begins. And Tisha B'Av is the Jewish Remembrance Day of the destruction of the two temples in history. It was Solomon's and Herod's temple, and they both got destroyed on the 9th day of the 11th month of the Hebrew civil calendar, the 9th of Av. That's where Tisha B'Av comes from. And in this Jewish cipher, if you write out Tisha B'Av, It just so happens to equal 911, the 9th day of the 11th month. You know, think about 9/11 that happened and the two towers got destroyed on 9/11. And the point I'm trying to make is that last year, this was really important. Tisha B'Av began on the date of August 10th and it went into the day of August 11th. And August 10th just so happened to be World Lion Day. So last year there was this major lion theme. This year there's a major tiger theme that is going on. And I mentioned how I just think it's important to cats in general, right? There's something important to cats. And I'll explain a little bit more here in a second, but we just got the death of the NBA player Karl Anthony Towns' mother dying of coronavirus. And, you know, his initials are K-A-T, cat. And I'll explain more about this because a long time ago I documented about a cat theme and he was part of it. So before I move on though, I just want to explain also that Tisha B'Av is important to the moon because the Hebrew calendar is based on the moon as well. The days even start at nighttime and so on, right? So there's definitely something very important to this year and the moon. International Tiger Day falling on the anniversary of NASA, which is also Tisha B'Av. And then, you know, Apollo's 201, Tigers 201, Event 201, it's all synced up to coronavirus. And we recently also got this story of Pink, the singer then, and how she was on the Ellen show, and she was telling everybody that they should be mad that she could get a coronavirus test, but they can't. And the picture that most of the articles gave us was a picture of Pink with her son, who also got coronavirus, and that was part of the story. But notice he's wearing a tiger jacket. What are the odds of this? And what's even more interesting is her son's name just so happens to be Jameson Moonheart, right? Jameson Moonheart. International Tiger Day on the anniversary of NASA. This year's report to the moon landing. You know, Pink also equals 22. If you go to my Tiger King video, I talked all about how it was synced up to the number 22 like crazy. Pink equals 76 in these Francis Bacon ciphers that I have mentioned since last year involving World Lion Day, how they were important. So, you know, Pink 76, just like the word tiger also equals 76. And if you followed me for a number of years, Pink has been really, really important to how I pick up on some of these patterns, you know. I predicted that Pink would sing the national anthem at the Eagles Super Bowl in 2018, and I did that over a month before Pink actually was even announced to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. And that's because I had this crazy synchronicity with the movie The Number 23, and I was watching a Zachary K. Hubbard video, and I was talking to my cat, right? So I watched the movie The Number 23, and he does the gematria of the color pink on that movie, right? And he does it in a crazy way. He says like red equals something, and then white equals something, and then, you know, red has 4 letters, and then that sums to 23, or I can't remember what it all does, but he does it in a crazy way. But in reality, in the, you know, the reduction cipher, the word pink just equals 23. P is the 16th letter, so it would be 1 plus 6 is 7, then I is plus 9 for I, plus, you know, N is the 14th letter, so it becomes 1 plus 4 is 5, and K is the 11th letter, it becomes 1 plus 1 is 2. And when you reduce all them and you add them up, it equals 23. And it's way simpler than the way that Jim Carrey does it in The Number 23, but way back in December of 2017, I was watching a Zachary K. Hubbard video, and my cat was sitting on my lap, and I had to pee, and I got up and went pee, and my cat got mad because he was chilling on my lap or whatever. And I came back, and I patted my leg, and I said, "There you go." And right as I said, "There you go," Zach was showing a video of Alex Jones saying, "There you go," or whatever. So he said, "There you go," right at the exact same time that I said, "There you go." And I didn't think much of it, but I had watched that the movie The Number 23 about the color pink, and then my daughter wanted this toy called a fingerling, and in the movie The Number 23, the book or whatever is written by Fingerling. So I looked up Fingerling, and it talked about how it was connected to the pinky finger, and there was some other book that it was called Pinkelji, and it was something in reference to the pinky finger. So I knew there was something important to Pink, and a major narrative that was going on at the time was the kneeling during the national anthem that was important to, singing the national anthem. So I thought maybe Pink would sing the national anthem, because when I looked up Pink, let's look at Pink, the singer here. Her first hit song just so happened to be called There You Go. What are the odds of that, So I tell my cat, there you go. Right as Alex Jones says, there you go on this video that I'm watching, I'm noticing this Pink theme, and I look up Pink, and her first hit single just so happens to be called There You Go. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm just bringing it up because it involved a cat, right? It involved my cat, and a number of other things have happened with Pink. So seeing this story with Pink and her son wearing the tiger jacket, I absolutely know that what I have been documenting about is important. Her son wearing the tiger thing, and then his middle name is Moon, of all things, and Moon syncs up. Pink's birthday is 50 days after the moon landing too, the anniversary of the moon landing, also 1 month and 19 days. And did you notice what Pink is? 50 and also 119. So even more so that it is synced up to the moon and the moon landing. And her son's birthday is 5 months and 6 days after the moon landing, which coronavirus equals 56, toilet paper 56, and so on. And even more so, it was on this Ellen DeGeneres show, and the other guest on Ellen that same day just so happened to be David Spade, and Ellen was asking him about how if he would want to portray the Tiger King or whatever in a real life movie or whatever based on Tiger King. So, this episode was all about Tiger King and David Spade possibly being the Tiger King in a movie. And then, Pink has her son in a tiger jacket. This was also just a few days after the pink moon as well. The pink moon, I think, was on April 7th, and then this Ellen show was on April 9th. So just after the pink moon, we get a story about Pink and her son in the tiger jacket on the same episode that David Spade's talking about, possibly portraying the Tiger King. What's even funnier is right before I made this video, if it'll load here, I came in the toy room. It's late at night, and I came in the toy room, and I got a little coffee table thing set up here in the toy room so I could make videos, because I can be a little bit louder in this room. And I sat down, I sat my laptop up on this little table, and I was hooking up my webcam, and I look over and I see this tiger toy laying on the floor. Like, of all toys that are just chilling on the floor here, it just so happens to be a tiger. Like, you gotta be kidding me, And my daughter had my phone, she's still awake, and I went out there and I was like, I want to take a picture of this, but you gotta come see this. And I told her, I'm gonna make this video about tigers, and I look over and I see this tiger toy just laying right in front of where I'm gonna set my laptop. And then she told me that it's called like a flipsy or something, and it actually flips inside out and it turns into an elephant as well. So possibly, maybe that's something important. I just don't see it right now, but this type of stuff happens to me all the time. What are the odds that I come in to make this video about tigers and so on, and literally the only toy that's sitting right in front of where I'm making this video is a tiger, So anyway, this Karl Anthony Towns then, right? So Karl Anthony Towns, his mother just died of coronavirus. And once again, his initials are KAT. And clear back in September 23rd of 2018, I was also talking about a cat theme that was going on because of the guy who shot up the Madden thing that was connected to the War of 1812 in football. His name was David Katz, and then I just kept seeing this cat theme over and over going on, and it reminded me of all these things, that I had documented about over the years. And What's interesting is I even mentioned this in the last video that I put out about Tiger Woods and the tiger getting coronavirus and so on. In this video, I went on and I talked about how just before my uncle died in 2017, my mom's cat went missing. And then my aunt, his wife, posted a picture on Facebook of a cat that was at her house that kind of looked like my mom's cat. And then it wasn't my mom's cat when we went over there. And my mom's cat was still missing. And then my mom's cat eventually came back. I can't remember but when it was exactly. I'm sure I have it documented on my blog. But my uncle, the aunt that posted that picture, her husband ended up dying just after that. After my mom's cat went missing, then my uncle's wife posted this picture that looked like my mom's cat, and it wasn't my mom's cat. And then my uncle had died, and it was all synced up to my uncle's death. Like, missing cat equaled 114, and he died on January 14th, synced up to the Cubs and the winning the World Series on their 114th win of the season, and their 114th season being called the Cubs, and a number of other things. He was a Cubs fan, and anyway, later that next year, or later in the year of 2017, my grandma also died. And the night before my grandma died, there was a girl from Woodbine, Iowa, who put on Facebook about how she had two baby kittens and she was looking for maybe someone that had a nursing cat. And ironically, I had a nursing cat because my cat had just had kittens recently. And I told her to bring them over, and we tried to get them to latch on and so on. And they ended up dying. The next day I woke up and both of the cats were dead. They were too weak or whatever, and they didn't make it. And the same time I found out them cats died, I also found out my grandma died. So it was like a crazy morning. These cats died, and then my grandma died. And, you know, there's something to do with cats going on. And I mentioned it in this video where I talked about Al Kaline, the Detroit Tiger guy, how the Detroit Tigers are synced up to this number 624, and Rocky Colavito, who the Cleveland Indians got cursed by because he got traded to the Detroit Tigers and he played on the same team as Al Kaline, and Detroit Tigers equals 624 and Rocky Colavito equals 624. And anyway, Rocky Colavito also grew up in the Bronx, and then the Bronx Zoo was where the tiger got coronavirus. But clear back then, as I was documenting about this cat theme, one of the stories that came up was of Karl Anthony Towns, right? And there was also a story of Tiger Woods, right? I talked about Tiger's a cat, Karl Anthony Towns is cat. There was something to do with the Lions game. The Lions upset the Patriots. All in that same week. A bunch of stuff with cats. I had synchronicity with South Park and the number 624. So, just pointing it out, there's something to do with cats. Karl Anthony Towns is really important to this Teen Wolf theme that I have followed a lot too. And the reason that sticks out so much is that today we also got the story of the Chicago Bulls guy getting fired, Gar Forman, after 22 years. Of course, basketball equals 22. Today's 413. And look what Chicago Bulls equal. Chicago Bulls equal 413. A great day for them to be in the media, But in 2015, I was following this major theme with the movie Teen Wolf, which is important to coronavirus as well, because the word wolf equals 56, like coronavirus, and Kevin Garnett was the original Teen Wolf. His name equals 56. He came back to the Minnesota Timberwolves, I believe, on the 56th day of the year in 2015, and that was just after Zach LaVine, the Teen Wolf, had won the slam dunk contest at the NBA All-Star Week on Valentine's Day wearing the Space Jam jersey or whatever. And the night before, Teen Wolf Andrew Wiggins won the MVP of the Rising Star Challenge. And that All-Star Week fell over Lupercalia, which is a Roman festival where they celebrate and sacrifice a wolf. And I made a number of videos on all of this, but, Kevin Garnett then comes back to the team, and he's the original Teen Wolf. Then he ends up retiring after that next season, which is also Karl Anthony Town's rookie season, and he was also a Teen Wolf until November 15th. And November 15th just so happens to be the anniversary of Space Jam coming out and Zach LaVine doing a Space Jam dunk, and on that same Valentine's Day when Zach LaVine did the Space Jam dunk, Denzel Valentine hit the game winner on Valentine's Day for Michigan State. And now Zach LaVine and Denzel Valentine both play for the Chicago Bulls. Denzel Valentine even wears number 45, like how Valentine's on the 45th day of the year. Like how Michael Jordan also wore the number 45 for 22 games, and then he switched back to number 23 on the 23rd game. And MJ equals 23, and Space Jam equals 23. And Jordan even once wore the number 12 because his jersey got stolen on Valentine's Day. So he wore the number 12 on Valentine's Day. That's why it was important that Andrew Wiggins got traded for Kevin Love to become a Teen Wolf, and, there was a big UCLA theme, and it was all synced up to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and because Nebraska Cornhusker stuff's all up throughout the background of the movie Teen Wolf, and then the Cornhuskers picked up Mike Riley as the coach, the former coach of the Oregon State Beavers. In the movie Teen Wolf, the mascot in the movie is the beaver, and it's based on the Oregon State Beaver. And then later that year, Nebraska went on to play UCLA in the Foster Farms Bowl in San Francisco. And I talked about how that was synced up to the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, who just ended up playing in the Super Bowl this year. But I've been watching for Michael J. Fox, right? Michael J. Fox is the Teen Wolf. His name equals 56 in Gematria. Once again, Wolf 56, Kevin Garnett 56. Scott Howard, with the S exception, it's not going to show it on here, but Scott Howard, the character in the movie, even equals 56 with the S exception. That's the Teen Wolf's name. Think about werewolves in regards to the moon, right? A werewolf becomes a werewolf on the night of a full moon. Think about wolves howling at the moon. Also, what's interesting, too, in regards to werewolves is that you kill them with a silver bullet, right? And silver in alchemy is the symbol of the moon, right? Silver is important to the moon in alchemy, and then a werewolf gets killed by, silver, a silver bullet. I'm pretty sure that's why they did it that way. It's kind of like in Hermeticism, the ether principle, the one that created everything, it's called Akasha. You ever see the movie The Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah's character who's named Akasha? The creator of all things, or all the vampires and so on. Akasha. Pretty sure that's where Anne Rice got that term as well. It's from Hermeticism. But anyway, in regards to Karl Anthony Town's mother, Wolf 56, Coronavirus 56, his mother's name was Jacqueline. Jacqueline, that equals 56. Her full name, Jacqueline Towns, equals 217, and she died 217 days before Karl Anthony Town's birthday. What are the odds? 217. Interesting, last night was working on this book last night, and I was documenting the stuff about all kinds of stuff with my grandma dying, right? My grandma died in connection to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. She lived on Eagle Street. Just after my uncle died, all connected to the Falcons being in the Super Bowl. I found out my sister lived on Falcon Avenue and owned a company called Eagle Acres. And then my other uncle, who was at my grandma's that same day, he ended up dying after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And before my uncle Barney died, it's hard to explain, but early 2017, before the Falcons won the Super Bowl, I had this connection to Fred Flintstone because my uncle's name was Barney. He's married to Betty and Barney Rubble, and they had a bunch of Flintstone stuff. But my uncle Clancy, who died after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I went to the bar with him one year. I was Jesus and he was Fred Flintstone, and I talked about how his other brother was the only Philadelphia Eagles fan I know, and so on, and his sister is a crazy cat lady. So there's something important to all that. But last year, 2019, the Chiefs mascot is also a wolf, right? And Remember the Chiefs lost on the night of the Super Wolf Moon? But just before that, Michael J. Fox got his first tattoo. And Eric Dilly on Facebook had pointed this out, that when Michael J. Fox got his first tattoo, look at this. The tattoo artist is wearing a mask, right? Reminding us of coronavirus. Just seems kind of odd, you know, wearing a mask at the tattoo place and so on. His name equals the same as coronavirus. Teen Wolf came out on Kobe Bryant's birthday. Kobe Bryant synced up to coronavirus, buried in Corona Del Mar. All the king symbolism I've talked about a million times. Funnier yet is one of my recent videos I talked about how there was a mask theme as well, and I had recently documented about the movie Mask with Rocky Dennis in it, and the guy who plays Rocky Dennis just so happens to be Eric Stoltz, who was the original Marty McFly before Michael J. Fox was, so something interesting there with that. Eric Stoltz. I'll have to look more into that guy. I wonder what else he was in. But that Super Blood Wolf Moon was on Buzz Aldrin's birthday as well, January 20th. The year Kevin Garnett came back, 2015, Karl Anthony Town's rookie season. Flip Saunders also died. Remember they did the tribute, and then Kobe Bryant, the Lakers played them in the first game, and then Kobe Bryant announced his retirement. So we'll leave it there. Just wanted to point out there's definitely a cat theme going on. Exactly what I talked about in the previous videos, and you know, cat theme, it's synced up to the moon, synced up to Tisha B'Av, and then Pink, you know, just takes the cake for it for me, you know, because the whole synchronicity that started with Pink from years ago was all about my cat, so. I also saw this post that Zach did on Tom Hanks posting a tribute to Apollo 13, because on April 11th it was the 50th anniversary of Apollo 13 happening, and Tom Hanks was on the movie Apollo 13, which I've talked about previously because Bill Paxton, remember the actor Bill Paxton? He died on the 56th day of the year in 2017, and he portrayed Fred Hayes Jr., who was born on the same day as Prince Charles, November 14th. And, of course, you know, Corona means crown, and Prince Charles got the coronavirus all synced up to Princess Diana and so on. And Fred Hayes Jr., his birthday is also interesting because that's when Apollo 12 launched, too, November 14th, just after Apollo 11, that first supposedly landed on the moon. That movie also has Gary Sinise or however you say his name. You know, and he's in the movie The Stand with Stephen King that's all about the virus that kills most of the world. But this movie was based off of this book called Lost Moon, The Perilous Voyage of Apollo 13 that sums to 201 in gematria. But what Zach didn't point out was that Apollo equals 201, you know, moon landing on the 201st day of the year, you know, Alton Armstrong 201. So the tiger theme is important to the moon. I'm just adding to that, I guess, you know. If you look up that book, it was written by Jim Lovell, who is the astronaut that Tom Hanks portrayed in the movie Apollo 13. But that book was also written by this guy, Jeffrey Kluger, who in Francis Bacon equals 201. And you notice he's also famous for a book called Splendid Solution, Jonas Salk and the Conquest for Polio. And remember, Tom Hanks was in Australia when he got coronavirus, and he was there for a film about Elvis where he was Elvis's manager named Tom Parker. And Elvis was important because Elvis got his polio vaccine in the year 56 on Jonas Salk's birthday. So it's funny too. When Aretha Franklin died, I'm pretty sure I have let me look this up really quick. When Aretha Franklin died, there was something to do with pink Cadillacs and Elvis. I'm thinking about it. Aretha Franklin to have pink Cadillacs. Elvis famous pink Cadillac. Huh. I want to come back and look at this. Rocky Colavito was important to the fire on Easter too, so he got traded on the same day that the can't remember what stadium burnt down. A stadium in Memphis burnt down the same day that his team had played the team there. I'll have to look that back up too. I can't even remember all of it. So much information to remember. Once again, that's why I blog stuff. But, just interesting that pink Cadillac, Elvis, and the color pink. That's why Pink was in Australia and got sick the same day that Alex Jones was kicked off of social media too on August 6th. And I talked all about that. I have a whole video on this too, about how that was important to Alex Jones and getting kicked off of social media. So makes me wonder about Tom Hanks in Australia and Elvis, and then Pink getting sick in Australia and canceling part of her tour the same day that Alex Jones got kicked off social media. That was all synced up to Goldberg, the goalie, in that movie. Can't remember what it was called, where the guy gets his pinky finger chopped off. Man, sometimes you just discover more, but one more thing, dude. Kevin Garnett wants to bring back the Seattle Supersonics, right? The original Teen Wolf. And, Seattle's where coronavirus supposedly began in the United States and so on, right? He wants to bring back the Seattle Supersonics, where the Space Needle is. So, we'll leave it there. I think I made my point. Need to go to bed. Got to go to my, stupid job tomorrow. So, have a good one. Peace.